Have you not seen my new phone yet? It literally folds in half. It's actually pretty cool.
Anytime you ask yourself who a product is for, the easiest way to know is to look at their marketing. Funny cause one of my favorite campaigns was Join the Flip Side for the Galaxy Z Flip4. It spends a good deal of time showcasing just how natural it is for most products to fold in half for added convenience, so why not your phone? The FOMO that video built was genius, but the question remains even today. Should you join the flip side? Historically, this was a complicated topic. The Galaxy Z Flip was built on a 30-year-old premise that couldn't be more logical today, and it's that phones have gotten too big. In the past, there was no way around the technology limitations, but today, it's because we want our phones to do more and more things. Collapsing it into a sandwich of sorts meant no more bricks to haul back then, and no more funny-looking stretch marks on your jeans today. The problem is that the first generations were too expensive at flagship prices for mid-range features, all while being plagued with durability issues, and then their design limitations later brought us some odd, more narrow form factors that weren't that attractive once the novelty wore off. If the plan was to replace a conventional phone, well, like the StarTAC 3000, it had to be either better or at least as good as everything else. Over the years, we've seen key players evolve their products to match that ideal as much as possible, but it's not until now that I feel we might just be there. Sort of. This is the Galaxy Z Flip4, what Samsung calls as pocket-perfect AI, and what I'm going to call as one of the most interesting smartphones you should consider right now. And notice, I'm not just saying flip phone. Sure, there are at least 4 things that I would change, but let me tell you more about it in my full review, sponsored by Subcase. Stick around to learn more about how Subcase can fix one of my biggest concerns with this Galaxy Z Flip4. Let me start this video by asking you to kind of ignore the initial batch of marketing Samsung has launched for this particular phone. Listen, nothing wrong with videos showing teenagers taking advantage of it, but I think it drives a bit of confusion. If you were to watch any iPhone 16 ad, for example, teenagers are clearly targeted, but then there's a near $400 price difference between that phone and this one. And as a father of 3, I can tell you I am not spending more than $1,000 on any of my teens. No. Everything about this phone, from the looks to the price, tells me it's an aspirational product made for the same young adults we see on the first Join the Flip Side campaign, where budgets are less constrained and decisions are based more on appeal and less on peer pressure. I can easily say this is one of the best looking and best feeling phones out right now, and I know, that sounds too good to be true, but let me explain. Surely it's not as thin as the Galaxy S25 Edge, but this new design almost makes me question why that phone exists. At 6.5mm, it's much thinner than the Galaxy S25 Plus, which also makes it 2 grams lighter, and yet offers a much taller display, which, by the way, also got nearly as wide. That last metric is what's most important. Usually these flip phones have been so narrow that they almost felt odd when compared to a regular phone, but that ends here. While extended, the Z Flip4 looks and feels so conventional that I've actually put it in my pocket twice without remembering to flip it closed. Seriously, if the goal was to finally make this lineup feel no different than any other phone, Samsung nailed it. But then yes, it's not just the regular phone. 3 decades ago, the whole opening your phone to answer a call and closing it was the definite status symbol, and all that remains here, even if a tad harder given the sharp and flat rails. That said, we have Armor Aluminum, Gorilla Glass Victus 2, and an IP48 dust and water resistance rating for the peace of mind you didn't get back then. Folding it in half then allows for a completely different set of experiences to a regular flat slab. From propping it on a table to watch a video or take a photo, yes, you can, but that's just part of the story. The cover screen finally grew up to be more than just an overglorified smartwatch screen. Funny that Samsung still calls it the Flex window, because at 4.1 inches diagonal, 347 pixels per inch, 120Hz refresh rate, and 2600 nits of peak brightness, it's finally more than just a widget dock. And yes, the idea of running full-blown applications on it is now more convenient than ever, though more on that experience later, because it's okay to say the least. What's most important is that for anyone wanting to avoid so many distractions each time you react to a notification, this flex window is for you. Oddly, in my opinion, the inner screen is actually the bigger story. Surely it's the same AMOLED 2X we've seen for years, which has always been near class leading in color reproduction and certifications, but my 4 complaints with it just got fixed. One is that the bezels got dramatically reduced, contributing to the regular phone look. Second is that you can now use it with polarized sunglasses, finally 7 generations later. Third is that the crease has gotten much better, even if still a tad noticeable. And fourth, the screen protector is no longer this mess of cutouts you can't ignore. Heck, even the speakers remain pretty great. Of how thin and durable a phone is, it is not shatter or fully dust resistant. So last but not least, there's the fact that for the first time ever, your Galaxy Flip won't have to wait a year to get the latest version of Android. Android 16 is preloaded since day one, along with its new experiences on One UI 8. It means if your application supports live updates, they work here, pretty much doing dual work with the now bar. It also means that multitasking between 2 applications just got better with Stashed Window, which I know it's an ugly name for Android's 9010, even if the UI to drag windows into place is kinda cumbersome. It also means you can get a ton of new AI experiences like Gemini Live on the Flex window, along with the Galaxy AI features we've already covered since the Galaxy S25. So, what's the catch? What are those 4 things I wish could improve? These are not really reasons to not like this phone, but definitely elements I'm mixed about. For example, I'm not gonna say the price is one of them, but at $1,100, my first concern is that this phone does fall under the category of major investment. Regardless of how thin or durable this flip is, it's not shatter or fully dust resistant, so my advice is that you protect your hard-earned money with today's sponsor, Subcase. Their UB grip is one of my favorite solutions because you get the peace of mind of mil-spec 810G protection for drops up to 20 feet. You also get MagSafe functionality thanks to built-in N52 magnets to ensure perfect alignment of accessories or Qi 2 wireless chargers. There's a cool integrated hinge made of high-strength zinc alloy for content consumption on the go. Heck, you even get a 0.3mm tempered glass screen protector to ensure that premium feel only glass can provide, along with an anti-slip texture all around for added grip and protection, all in 4 different color options. And hey, for those of you looking for a lot of this functionality matched with the belt holster that'll bring back those StarTAC vibes, the award-winning UB Pro has got your back as well. Best of all, once you compare the price of any competing alternative to Subcase, you'll understand why they continue to lead the pack. Thanks to Subcase for sponsoring this video, and you can learn more about them in the link in the description. The second is this flex window. It is seriously cool to have 2 useful screens on a single phone, which alone justifies a higher price. The problem is that while the screen size grew, the software kind of didn't. Like, sure, you can run full applications through Good Lock, but the software still thinks they're not, so more than half the time you'll click on anything, it'll keep prompting you to open the phone and defeating the purpose of all this. Same thing with notifications, where you can't really react to them as well as you can on the cheaper $700 Moto Razr, for example. The third is the spec sheet. Like, I'm sorry, but if you can get all the power of the Snapdragon 8 Elite on the cheapest Galaxy S25, it's hard not to debate this price. This Exynos 2500 does look good on paper, and my experience using it has been pretty good for the most part. It's handled day-to-day tasks well, and is snappy like any chip in this category should be. In all fairness, sure, I can't say I've felt it overheat once in 2 weeks, though I haven't used Dex on it, because if I'm honest, I rarely use it on any Galaxy. Still, phone calls and data connectivity have been pretty great, as you'd expect from any Galaxy. We'll see how it performs over time, because it's hard to deny that it's not an 8 Elite or Dimensity 9400. That said, the rest of the internals, from the RAM to the storage, to the connectivity options, and even the battery life are things I won't complain about, even considering this power pack is not necessarily big, nor is the charging fast. Fourth, let's talk about these cameras. I know that right now only Oppo has achieved the triple camera setup on a flip phone, and really no company has with such a massive outer display. The problem is that for consumers at this price point, the perception of compromise is heightened. This is not to say that the optics are bad in any way, but they're pretty much the same as last year. And listen, sure, new chip means new ISP and experiences, so I think the results speak for themselves. Like most Galaxy phones, this device handles color pretty much the same, punchy for the most part, and subtle enough to not be overdone. Also, like every Galaxy, it loves static subjects, getting some crazy sharp results, and doing the typical hit or miss if the item moves. And guys, listen, even the Ultra does this, so I won't hold it against this phone. You'll notice it more at night, where photos can be crazy sharp if you can keep your hand steady. And I'm actually surprised at how quick this phone is taking night shots regardless of the focal length, which in the past wasn't great even on Snapdragon chips. Yes, I do wish I had a telephoto, but this optical crop has its advantages that you're using the best optics for them instead of cheaper sensors. Though yeah, stick to 4x tops, 10x is pretty useless. Yes, you have the advantage of using the primary cameras for selfies as much as the one built in, which I actually do love in those especially dark scenarios, again, if your subject remains still. I'll also admit I was pleasantly surprised by video. It's no iPhone for sure, and it also doesn't bring 8K, but the results are pretty good on HDR, and it does bring great AI tricks like audio eraser to remove noise. I'm not the one to tell you to hold it like a camcorder, but it's cool to give your subject a preview as you're recording them through the cover screen. And then selfie video was also pretty good for an Android phone, but keep in mind, this design allows you to easily use the cover cameras for that purpose as well, meaning that ultra-wide can come in really handy for vlogging. To conclude, even with my minor concerns, let me just say my experience with this Galaxy Z Flip4 ended up being better than expected. This is by far my favorite design on a flip phone right now, and pretty up there when compared to other smartphones as well. I do appreciate all the efforts put into improving the experience with the displays, the software, and even most of the hardware. Like seriously, props where props are due. I also have to be fair that while I was skeptical about this phone going Exynos, my complaints are mainly based on potential because I can't really say my experience has been bad with this chip one bit. The software on the Flex window is something that can be fixed through an update, and I hope it does. Like seriously, it's been 2 years of doing things through good luck. What's taking so long? And then the cameras are something that would highly depend on how much you really want 3 sensors, because the results from 2 go above and beyond. So, is it time to join the flip side? I'd say it depends. If you're looking for a break from the old and want a good mix of new experiences that blend well with the conventional, then this is the phone to get. It's by far the most mature flip phone I've tried so far, but I get it. At this price, it's not an impulsive buy either. I seriously wish the trade-in deals were as generous as they were before, because back in the Z Flip 5 days, this would have been a no-brainer for sure. It's not sold in a vacuum though, so if you're more worried about the chip or the third camera for the price, but still want to go Samsung, then maybe the Galaxy S25 Plus is a better fit for you. I'd be the last person to recommend that phone at that price given how OnePlus, Google, and even Apple give you more for that money. But hey, it's either that or you could join us in giving this cool new idea a shot for a change, because it's been pretty great for me. Let me know if you agree with my assessment in the comments below, and while you're at it, a like and subscribe would be highly appreciated. Also, let me know what comparisons you'd like to see, if any. Follow me on social media, as there's a lot of behind the scenes happening. There are so many videos coming up right now. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.